He has one of the most popular radio shows in Charleston radio. And in this special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I sit down with Richard Bachschmidt. Richard, it's so good to see you.
Pleasure to be invited to be part of Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Anytime, sir.
Let's create the scene. We're sitting here on Windermere Boulevard in West Ashley, which is home of 105.5 The Bridge.
This is where all the magic happens every day, yeah.
And we were supposed to do the interview last week, but of course, Mayor John Tecklenburg had his inauguration.
Well, there's that, and I don't mind taking a backseat to old Tech. He's a good guy, and I can't believe we're in such a time where we're welcoming the new mayor for the first time in 40 years. And we had the privilege of having John Tecklenburg as part of an ongoing series with all of the mayoral candidates when there were 6. And we were very impressed, me and my co-host, with his personality, his personability, and I really think he's going to do some great things for the Holy City.
And let's talk about Bach's radio show.
Okay.
As you said, it's what, number 10?
No, I joke.
I think it's number 1.
I'll tell you this, radio is an ego-driven business, and a lot of people in radio, we want to make sure that we're doing a good job. It really does, I think, for most people in this craft. It isn't ego as far as I'm the best. It's more of a, we're putting ourselves out there, and we certainly hope that anybody who's tuning in enjoys what they're hearing. I honestly, the secret to any of my success is I don't worry about things like ratings. I let the people who have to worry about that stuff worry about that stuff. Because I look at it one of two ways. If I were the number one guy in town, which I'm not, but if I were, is that going to make me big-headed or make my approach any different to what I do every day? And then if I look at the ratings and I figure out it's really crickets and only 4 people really enjoy the show, well, then I'm going to come in here feeling like, what's the point? So I just assume that I got to come in here every day. I have to be prepared and energetic and fun. I get up very early in the morning, so by the time the average person gets in the car to head to work and school and everywhere else, I'm awake, I've had a few cups of coffee, and you certainly hope to inform, entertain, and just taking my class clown days and turning them into a career as an adult. It's nice to know that you do make people laugh, and that's what morning radio is really all about. We have enough bad stuff going on in the world, and sometimes it's nice to listen to somebody who lives here, can talk about the things that you see every day, and have that kind of fun perspective.
And let's talk about your co-host, Jessica.
Jessie B. Turner is just a wonderful person who I've known for several years, and we were making some changes here at the Bridge about a year ago, and her name was the first that came up. Now, we knew Jessica from previous experience through a regular segment we would do every week on the program. But other than that, she'd really had no real radio experience as far as a trained broadcaster or somebody like me. This is my 21st year doing radio, and she has none of that experience. But I think it works well for us because I can kind of handle the load as far as the formatics and getting the call letters and back selling songs. But it's really nice to look across the table at somebody who can react to what you're saying. And we respect each other so much, and we genuinely do like each other very much. So it makes it really fun when you have to get in here and see somebody every day at 6 in the morning. It's kind of nice, and we bicker back and forth. I'd like to say that we're like brother and sister. I'm the big brother, and she's my sister. And but I would jump in front of a train for that woman. I really would. She's awesome.
And let's talk about the 21 years of broadcasting that you have so far.
Sure.
Where are you emotionally with that?
I love what I do every day. This being here at 105.5 The Bridge and doing Morning Drive here in Charleston is the culmination of everything I ever wanted to do in broadcasting. So after 2 decades of doing it, I can say I've never had more fun in my life. I enjoy it very, very much. I hope I can do it for a long time.
And let's talk about you coming here in 2004.
Okay. I was in Nashville, and I'd worked there for about 10 years, and I was looking for a new challenge. And there was a time in my younger broadcasting days where you send tapes out everywhere and you don't really care what city it is or what station it is. You just want the opportunity. But by that point, I was established enough to where I didn't want to just take a job to take a job. I happened to be working in the office, and I got an email from somebody from Clear Channel Radio, which is now iHeartMedia. And they were interested in talking to me about a position here in Charleston. Never been to Charleston before. And I thought, well, why not? So I flew out here for a weekend. I remember it was in Oh gosh, it must have been June. It was boiling hot. I was downtown, and I had brought all of this professional-looking stuff, you know, like my sport jackets and dress shirts, and you know, walking up and down King Street for about a half an hour. I knew that it was a terrible idea, and then finally, when the sun went down, met with the people who ultimately became my employers and got to see the market when that was the real hopping spot, and going up down East Bay and seeing the nightlife and the pretty girls and the history and the architecture. And I went, you know what? I think this is. I think it's time to make a move, and I'm certainly glad I did. And I can't imagine doing this anywhere else.
That is awesome. From Clear Channel to here at the bridge.
Okay, I had been with Clear Channel probably from '04 to about 2011, and quite frankly, I got burnt out a little bit. I'd been doing radio for so long, and I thought, well, what else could I do? Is there anything else? If this went away today, and I was on the street and I had to figure out how I was going to pay my bills, what else could I do? And I tried a couple of different things, and I realized this is what I'm good at. This is my calling. This is
what God called you to do.
Well, and I believe that. I believe everybody has an instrument. Everybody, you know, and it happens for me to be my voice, be my sense of humor, and I think a lot of my personality obviously comes out on the air, and that's one of being concerned about the city, a person who likes to have fun, a caring person. We have a lot of things in our city that I'd like to see a little bit different, and I think being able to go on the air and talk about that with your listeners is just so impactful and so special. So the long way around it was I had taken myself out of the game for a little bit of time, and then I got a call from the bridge and our sister station 98 Rock, and they were kicking the tires a little bit. And once I came over here to meet with them, I just got this renewal of excitement about the world of broadcasting, and gosh, we're coming up on 4 years since that time, and I just could not be happier.
Describe to me the following one word: Tampa Bay.
Terrible. You ever talking about the Bucks? I grew up in that area, and that was part of the appeal to moving in Charleston. And if I had to do it in one word, beach.
Yes.
Because I grew up on the Gulf Coast, and it's hot and it's humid, but you can go take a dip in the water, and that's one thing about living here is you're not very far from one of the world-class beaches here, and just such a great city. Tampa shaped a lot of my life, but I see a lot of similarities in Charleston for sure. Not nearly on the same scale as far as the size of the city and that kind of thing, but certainly climate and that kind of thing.
The Dead Kennedys.
Dead Kennedys, one of my all-time favorite bands. I got my top 5, and they're certainly in there. I grew up as a rock and roll and pop music fan. Ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a broadcaster, and I used to listen to DJs at 5 and 6 years old, and then driving to school later in my years in elementary and middle school, and I knew that that's what I wanted to be, and that's what I wanted to do, and part of that is sharing really cool music. And even though Dead Kennedys isn't nearly in our format, there are sometimes setting up a story or things like that. I'll slip a little Black Flag in there, a little Slayer in there, and I'm just a real passionate music fan, and growing up at that time, skateboarding and all that kind of stuff, and wearing the cool Vans.
I like those.
Yeah, man. So that's just been a part of my life for a long, long time.
Vickery's in one.
Vickery's. Ooh.
I love the turkey pita and potato salad.
You're speaking my language, man. That's my favorite thing on the menu. Yeah, with that raspberry mayo.
Yes.
Get some of that, whatever that sauce is. You got the black pepper gravy for the fries.
Right.
But then there's that mojo criollo or whatever it's called. And you dip that stuff in there, and they have a really good crawfish popcorn, too.
Right.
I love Vickery's. One of the great views on Shem Creek. And, man, a sunset over the Charleston Harbor. You really can't beat it.
Richard Bachschmidt.
Well, it's German, and it's funny, when I was working in Nashville, I used to use my real name on the air, and I got contacted by a distant relative who had traced our family's history back to the 1400s, and we originated in Germany near the French border.
Wow. And
I have people in New York, obviously. I have people in Michigan, and then where I grew up and cut my teeth, the state of Florida, where a lot of us ended up.
Yeah. That is awesome. or Richard Bachschmidt, known as Box. Thank you so much for your time.
You know what? Anytime.
Thank you.
It's very nice to have you in, and I love what you do, and I'm really excited to be a part of it. Honored.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Richard.
Absolutely.
Thank you.